Happy Friday. It's me, Flower Child 567, and I'm here for another fun day. Um, and I'm going to do um, my Tamriel storytelling. So I hope that you're excited about that. So my schedule has changed just a tiny bit. And I now am streaming just for the storyteller, the Tamriel story time here. And yeah, all right. So welcome. Hi, Visionary. Nice to see you. So welcome into my abode. I've done some decorating. As you can see, my outside, and look at, I gotta show you this because it's so pretty and it's all done. There's my outside gazebo. Isn't that so nice? I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. And there's some snacks and beverages, and I'm ready to entertain. I hope you all like that. It's kind of fun. So, anyways. All right, let's get going and see what we have happening today. Come on in, and I'll begin the Tamriel story time. I have my new entryway all set up. Come on in. Come in, come in. And here we are inside. And I've done some rearranging in here too. Look. I have a new sitting area over here. Hangout area. Really excited about how that turned out. And soon I might have that new Apocrypha set up right here. Anyways, are you ready? I'm ready. So let's get started. All right, let's open up our tome. Yes, there we have it. Okay, now let's come over here, because if you remember last week, I read the creation myth, right? And then I read about the moons, the 2 moons. And then, of course, I read about the 8 divines. So that began the Tamriel story time. So today I'm going to kind of continue in that influence, and I'm going to read the monomyth, the heart of the world. So here we go. The Altmeri, the heart of the world. Anu encompassed and encompasses all things, so that he might know himself. He created Anuel, his soul, and the soul of all things. And Anuel, as all souls, was given to self-reflection. And for this, he needed to differentiate between his forms, attributes, and intellects. Thus was born Sithis, who was the sum of all the limitations Anuel would use to ponder himself. Anuel, who was the soul of all things, therefore became many things. And this interplay was and is the Anubis. Well, I think it's the Arbus. At first, the Arubis was turbulent and confusing as Anuel's ruminations went on without design. Aspects of the Arubis then asked for a schedule to follow or procedures whereby they might enjoy themselves a little longer outside of perfect knowledge, so that he might know himself this way. Anu created Anuriel, the soul of his soul. Aruel bled through the Arubis as a new force called time. And with time, various aspects of the Arubis began to understand their natures and limitations. They took names like Magnus, or Mara, or Zin. One of these, Lorcan, was more of a limit than a nature, so he could never last long anywhere. As he entered every aspect of Anuel, Lorcan would plant an idea that was almost wholly based on limitation. He outlined a plan to create a soul for the Arubis, a place where the aspects of aspects might even be allowed to self-reflect. He gained many followers. Even Aruel, when told he would become the king of the new world, agreed to help Lorcan. So they created the Mundus, where their own aspects might live and become the Et Ada. This was a trick, as Lorcan knew this world contained more limitations than not, and was thereby hardly a thing of Anu at all. Mundus was the house of Sithis. As their aspects began to die off, many of the Et Ada vanished completely. Some escaped like Magnus, and that is why there are no limitations to magic. Otherwise, like Ifri, transformed themselves into the Elnofe, the earth bones, so that the whole world might not die. And some had to marry and make children just to last. And each generation was weaker than the last, and soon there were Altmere. Darkness caved in. Larkin made armies out of the weakest souls and named them men. And they brought Sithis into every quarter. Ariel pleaded with Anu to take them back, but he had already filled their places with something else. His soul was gentler, granting Anurel his bow and shield, so that he might save the Aldemir from the hordes of men. Some had already fallen, like the Chimer, who listened to tainted Et Adair, and others, like the Bosmere, had soiled time's line by taking mannish wives. Ariel could not save Altmora, the elder wood, and it was lost to men. They were chased south and east to old Elnofe, and Larkin was close behind. He shattered that land into many. Finally, Trinimac, Ariel's greatest knight, knocked Larkin down in front of his army and reached in with more than hands to take his heart. He was undone, and the men dragged Larkin's body away and swore blood vengeance on the heirs of Ariel for all time. But when Trinimac and Ariel tried to destroy the heart of Lorcan, it laughed at them. It said, "This heart is the heart of the world, for one was made to satisfy the other." So Ariel fastened the thing to an arrow and let it fly long into the sea, where no aspect of the new world may ever find it. That's an interesting story, isn't it? I think it is. You know, it's kind of funny how the lore is so deep and rich. We read about Anu, right? The Anud paraphrased, and the lunar Lorcan last week. So I'm going to go ahead and read you the myth of Arubis because this is an important one. Monomyth, the Myth of Arubis. Subtitle, The Psijic Compensation. Mythic Arubis was an attempt by Artaeum apologists to explain the basics of Aldemari religion to the emperor. It quietly avoided any blame or bias against the Lorcan concept, which was still held in esteem by the crocodiles as Caesar, the missing sibling of the divines. Despite this, the Psijic still give a nice summary of the elder view, and it will serve our purposes here. This version comes from the archives of the Imperial Seminary, from the handwritten notes of an unknown scribe. Mythic Arubis exists and has existed from time without measure as a fanciful, unnatural realm. Arubis is used to connote the imperceptible penumbra, the gray center between the is not, of Anu and Padome. It contains the multitude realms of Aetherius and Oblivion, as well as others, less structured forms. The magical beings of mythic Arubis live for a long time and have complex narrative lives, creating the patterns of myth. These are spirits made from bits of the immortal polarity. The first of these was Akatosh, the time dragon, whose formation made it easier for other spirits to structure themselves. Gods and demons form and reform and procreate. And finally, the magical beings of mythic Arubis told the ultimate story, that of their own death. For some, this was an artistic transfiguration into the concrete, non-magical substance of the world. For others, this was a war in which all were slain, their bodies becoming the substance of the world. For yet others, this was a romantic marriage of parenthood, with the parent spirits naturally having to die and give way to the succeeding mortal races. The agent of this communal decision was Lorcan, whom most early myths vilify as a trickster or deceiver. More sympathetic versions of this story point out Lorcan as being the reason the mortal plane exists at all. The magical beings created the races of the mortal Arubis in their own image, either consciously as artists and craftsmen, or as the fecund rotting matter out of which the mortals sprung forth, or in a variety of other analogical senses. The magical beings then, having died, became the Et Ada. The Et Ada are the things perceived and revered by the mortals as gods, spirits, or genesis of Arubis. Through their deaths, these magical beings separated themselves in nature from the other magical beings of the unnatural realms. The Daedra were created as this time also, beings, spirits, and gods more attuned to oblivion, or that realm closer to the void of Padome. This act is the dawn of the mythic or merithic era. It has been perceived by the earliest mortals many different ways. either as a joyous second creation, or, especially by the elves, as a painful fracturing from the divine. The originator of the event, however, is always Lorcan. Gosh, I think it's so interesting. So interesting, these myths. It's very cosmic, so it's really hard to to sometimes wrap your mind around. These are myths that in some ways have nothing. They're outside of Tamriel. They're outside of our activities. They're outside of things that we do in world, but yet they always are brought in as subtle references, as hints, as a comment, as a quote. So, however, these two books complete the very beginning of Tamriel. Complete the entire, I would say, lore of how this world was created. So now I'm coming over here to the alcove of I can't get him. Hold on, let me get closer to him. The alcove of our Stindar, who is one of the divines, the first of the 8 divines mentioned. And this alcove is in dedication to that divine. And here I also have the antique map of Cold Harbor, because this is where my beginning in Elderscrolls Online took place. And anyways, I'm going to unlock this alcove, because we must unlock it. Oh, I did it in the wrong way. Oh my gosh, I did it in the wrong way. Hold on a second. I want it to be over here. So just a second. Let me get this. I'm going to unlock the lore that are right here in this alcove. Yes, that's what we want. Yes, okay. Because I would like to read this book, Gods and Worship in Tamriel, because that's sort of how it's filtering down. We go from, in lore, we go from origin, right, creation, into now the divinity. And so let's read this book, Gods and Worship in Tamriel. This is an overview of gods and worship in Tamriel by Brother Hetchfeld, Associate Scribe at the Imperial University, Office of Introductory Studies. Ooh. Gods are commonly judged upon the evidence of their interest in worldly matters. A central belief in the active participation of deities in mundane matters can be challenged by the reference to apparent apathy and indifference on the part of gods during the time of plague or famine. From intervention in legendary quests to manifestations in common daily life, no pattern for the gods of Tamriel's activities is readily perceived. The concerns of gods in many ways may seem unrelated, or at best unconcerned with the daily trials of the mortal realm. The exceptions do exist, however. Now, many historical Many historical records and legends point to the direct intervention of one or more gods at times of great need. Many heroic tales recount blessings of the divinity bestowed upon heroic figures who worked or quested for the good of a deity or the deity's temple. Some of the more powerful artifacts in the known world were originally bestowed upon their owners through such reward. It has also been reported that priests of high ranking in their temples may on occasion call upon their deity for blessings or help in time of need, and the exact nature of such contact and the blessings bestowed is given to much speculation, as the temples hold such associations secret and holy. This direct contact gives weight to the belief that the gods are aware of the mortal realm. In many circumstances, however, these same gods will do nothing in the face of suffering and death, seeming to feel no need to interfere. It is thus possible to conclude that we, as mortals, may not be capable of understanding more than a small fraction of the reasoning and logic such belongs to. One defining characteristic of all gods and goddesses is their interest in worship and deeds. Deeds in the form of holy quests are just one of the many things that bring the attention of a deity. Deeds in everyday life, by conforming to the statutes and obligations of individual temples, are commonly supposed to please a deity. Performance of ceremony in a temple may also bring a deity's attention. Ceremonies vary according to the individual deity. The results are not always apparent, but sacrifice and offerings are usually required to have any hope of gaining a deity's attention. While direct intervention in daily temple life has been recorded, the exact nature of the presence of a god in daily mundane life is a subject of controversy. A traditional saying of the wood elves is that one man's miracle is another man's accident. Wonder what a miracle is. Okay, while some gods are believed to take an active part of daily life, others are well known for their lack of interest in temporal affairs. It has been theorized that gods do in fact gain strength from such things as worship through praise, sacrifice, and deed. It may even be theorized that the number of worshippers a given deity has may reflect on his overall position among the other gods. And this is my own conjecture, garnered from the apparent ability of the larger temples to attain blessings and assistance from their god with greater ease than smaller religious institutions. There are reports of the existence of spirits in our world that have the same capacity to use the actions and deeds of mortals to strengthen themselves, as do the gods. The understanding of the exact nature of such creatures would allow us to undertake with more clarity the connection between a deity and the deity's worshippers. The implication of the existence of such spirits leads to the speculation that these spirits may even be capable of raising themselves to the level of a god or goddess. Mortucio of the Imperial Seminary has suggested that these spirits may be the remains of gods and goddesses who through time lost all or most of their following, reverting to their earliest, most basic form. Practitioners of the old ways say that there are no gods, just greater and lesser spirits. Perhaps it is possible for all three theories to be true. So one thing I find interesting is his comment about a god, the importance of a god being based on the number of worshippers that particular deity may have. So what came up in my mind instantly was the fact that, isn't it Mara, a goddess, who has quite a number of worshippers? I mean, how many people get Mara'd here in ESO? That's an interesting thought, huh? So, yeah. And of course, well, I don't know. Okay, I'll leave that one. Hey, T-Jard. Hi, nice to see you. Welcome. I hope your Friday is going magnificent. Okay, so I don't know. That's an interesting book. The other book that I wanted to read, the other lore book I wanted to read today, is in this same alcove, and it actually has to do with the monomyth dragon god and missing god, because I felt that connected to the lore book I just finished. So I'm going to read that next, and then I have something a little fun planned for you. So I hope that you'll like what I'm gonna share with you next. So, oh, thanks. All right, so here we go. Dragon God and Missing God. In Mundus, conflict and disparity are what bring change, and change is the most sacred of the elven forces. Change is the force without focus or origin. And that came from Ognathir Tabarite, Order of Sigic, which they spelled it very interesting. Okay, simply put, the schism in the human Aldemari worldview is the mortal's relationship to the divine. Humans take the humble path, that they were created by the immortal forces, while the Aldemari claim descent from them. And it doesn't seem like much, but it is a distinction that colors the rest of their diverging mythologies. Oh, that's really interesting. Okay. All Tamrielic religions begin the same. Man or Mer, things begin with the dualism of Anu and his other. These two forces go by many names: Anu Padme, Anurel Sithis, Akel, Satak Alcel, Satak Akel is not. Anurel is the everlasting, ineffable light. Sithis is the corrupting, inexpressible action. In the middle is the gray, maybe, or Nern, in the Elno-Fe, the Elno-Fex. Well, that's interesting. In most cultures, Anuriel is honored for his part of the interplay that creates the world, but Sithis is held in highest esteem because he's the one that causes the reaction. Sithis is thus the original creator, an entity who intrinsically causes change without design. Even the Hist acknowledge this being. Anurel is also perceived of as order, opposed to the Sithis chaos. And perhaps it is easier for mortals to envision change than perfect stasis, for often Anurel is relegated to the mythic background of Sithis's fancies. In Yokudan, folk tales which are among the most vivid in the world, Satak is only referenced to a handful of times as the hum. Is a force so prevalent as to be not really there at all. the hum, like om, maybe, I don't know. In any case, from these two beings spring the Et Ada, or original spirits. To humans, these Et Ada are the gods and demons. To the Aldmere, the Aedra, Daedra, or the ancestors. All of the Tamrielic pantheons fill their rosters from these Et Ada, though divine membership often differs from culture to culture. Like Anu and Padme, though, every one of these pantheons contains the archetypes of the dragon god and the missing god. All right, the dragon god and the missing god. The dragon god is always related to time and is universally revered as the first god. He is often called Akatosh, whose perch from eternity allowed the day. He is the central god of the Cyrodiilic Empire. The missing god is always related to the mortal plane and is a key figure in the human Aldmeri schism. The missing refers to either his palpable, I can't say that word, absence from the pantheon, another mental distress that is interpreted a variety of ways, or the removal of his divine spark by the other immortals. He is often called Lorcan, and his epithets are many, equally damnable and devout. Note that Tamriel and the mortal plane do not exist yet. The gray, maybe, is still the playground of the original spirits. Some are more bound to Anu's light, others to the unknowable void. Their constant flux and interplay increase their number, and their personalities take long to congeal. When Akatosh forms, time begins, and it becomes easier for some spirits to realize themselves as beings with a past and a future. The strongest of the recognizable spirits crystallize: Mephala, Arkay, Ifri, Magnus, Ruptga, etc., etc. Others remain as concepts, ideas, or emotions, and one of the strongest of these, a barely formed urge that the others call Lorcan, details a plan to create Mundus, the mortal plane. Humans, with the exception of the Red Guards, see this act as a divine mercy, an enlightenment whereby lesser creatures can reach immortality. Aldmere, with the exceptions of the Dark Elves, see this act as a cruel deception, a trick that sundered their connection to the spirit plane. So I think it's interesting that Akatosh is considered the creator, the original god. So I'm a little confused because over here in the Anu paraphrased, Anu came into the void and time began. I read this last week, right? Anu and Padme and light and darkness, and they created Nur, and Anu and Nur got together, and Nur had a baby and gave birth to creation, but died from her beating from Padme, remember? And then he saw, is there anywhere in here? Of course, this is the creation of the earth, the physical matter, and Nirn was created, the Daedra came out of Padme, the Aedra out of Anu, the creation of Elnofe, the Hist, this all forms, and then the different threads, the different tribe, so to speak, of Tamriel. So you know what's interesting? And then, of course, here's the book all about Lorcan that I read last time, which talks about the moons, because they were the two halves. The two moons are the two halves of Lorcan. So in these books last week that I read, it doesn't state Akatosh, right? Coming back to this one. I'm putting this all together for us. Well, maybe you've already read it and put it together for yourself, but I do think it's interesting. I just want to make sure I read it correctly, and I want to read it one more time. Akatosh. When Akatosh forms, time begins. When Akatosh forms, time begins. Okay, so Akatosh, where do I have Akatosh? Let's see what alcove I gave to Akatosh. I'm just kind of curious now. Okay, that's Zenithar. This might be Akatosh right here. Akatosh has no image. Okay. Whoopsie, sorry. And the 8 divines, Stindar, Arkay, Mara, Zenithar. Akatosh is the last one. Serve and obey your emperor. Interesting. This is also very interesting. All right. Whew. Some heady stuff. This lore has some very heady stuff in it. And I think that's really kind of interesting. It's really interesting. Well, all right. So we've had some fun reading today. And I have another little fun book for you that I'm going to read. Let me grab it off the shelf right here. Yeah, let me grab it right here. Let's see. Yeah, I think, yes, this is the one I want right here. Let's see, I'm going to read to you. Oh my gosh. Oh, what's happening here? Oh God. Oh, this book is trying to eat me, I think. Oh my goodness. Oh dear. I'm going to get rid of this book. Ah, gosh. Oh man. Maybe I'm not going to read that one. Whew, that's a dangerous book. Oh, sorry, you guys. Oh, I didn't expect that to happen. Wow. Okay. But I am going to finish off our story time with a fun book. But it doesn't exist in book form. It's coming from my memory. Well, sort of. All right. So it is about the Nords, because our creation myths tell us that the Nords were the first tribe to exist in Tamriel. And we also just had what? We also just had Samhain. Yeah? On Tuesday we had Samhain. So right now it's all about sweets. So I'm going to share a little bit about the Nords cuisine. Yeah, so this is written by Gilbarg Basquar, I guess. And this is in honor of the Nords and also Samhain. So here we go. While there have been many accounts detailing the various meads enjoyed by the Nords, there is surprisingly little information on their preferences in cuisine. And while Nord recipes may not be as thrilling or complex as some other cultures, I believe them still worthy of note. There are many delicacies to be had among Nords. They are a hearty people that drink and eat with more passion and vigor than any I've ever encountered. And tasteless food is as much an insult to them as cowardice on the battlefield. I shall transcribe my explorations through their cuisine here. All right, so here we go. Sweet treats. Oh, honey-dipped apples. I would be remiss if I did not discuss the tart apples of Skyrim, a staple of Nord households. This fruit is as common in Skyrim as a mud crab along a riverbank. It can be eaten as nature intended, directly from a tree, or it can be used to enhance stews, meat dishes, or salads. Perhaps the best use is as a dessert. The ingredients for a honey-dipped apple are rather obvious. Simplicity is at the heart of most Nord recipes. The foundations are plain and uncomplicated, but the end result is truly a taste to experience. Apples are either served roasted or raw, then iced with a drizzle of sweet milk and honey. They are sticky, messy, sweet and tart, and wholly wonderful. Snowberry crostata on their own. Snowberries are so tart as to be quite unpalatable. The same cannot be said of a snowberry crostata. Simpler than a pie, and yet no less delectable, this pastry perfectly marries the tartness of the berry with the sweetness of the bread to create a truly memorable experience. Enjoy this delicacy after a meal as a treat, or even early in the morning before the common Nord goes about his day. The versatile nature of the flavors make both options equally appealing. Jazbay crostata. In contrast, the Jazbay crostata is strictly a delicacy best enjoyed after a heartier meal. While it is most often used by mages, the distinctive sweetness of these grapes cannot be ignored by any who consider themselves a food connoisseur. The dark, sweet juice of the grape sinks into the dough to create a deliciously moist base, though it's sturdy enough to not be soggy. Some say the sweetness overwhelms, but I say they are absolutely wrong. Okay, honey nut treat. Nords love their honey. It sweetens their mead perfectly. But that's not all. Popular in many a meadery across Skyrim, the honey nut treat is a sweet partner to any kind of drink. While messy, the sticky, nut-studded dough can conveniently be skewered on a stick so you can carry it anywhere. Whether you're traveling long distances or just enjoying a drink by the fire at your favorite inn, the honey nut treat is an enjoyable snack that everyone should try at least. I like that. That's pretty fun. And because we're going to salute Nords and their love of mead, here is the words to an old Nord drinking song. If you know it, sing along as I say it. I climbed Shermot Point Mountain, drinking my store of mead. My vision got so blurry, I couldn't hardly read. I found a warm, dry cave, never saw a sign or warning. Curled up with an old frost troll, which surprised us both come morning. Mead, 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 it's all you really need. It's sweet and it's strong, so good it can't be wrong. Mead, 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 mead. Gave that troll a bottle, she drank it down right quick. She danced around me happily, then hit me with a stick. The old troll was snoring when I woke hours later. She'd drunk up all my mead, but I couldn't really hate her. Mead, 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 it's all you really need. It's sweet and it's strong, so good it can't be wrong. Mead, 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 it's all you really need. It's sweet and it's strong, so it's good, it can't be wrong. Mead, mead, mead. That's pretty funny. So to our delicious mead drinkers, I'm going to drink. Oh, well, I'm eating something. I was going to drink, but I guess I don't have anything in my inventory to drink. Oh no. Yeah, how about this? Here we go. Oh no. Ah, well. You can envision me drinking something. So yeah, so that's our story time for today. Just some fun things. I think it's really, oh my gosh, my little Gracie wants to come on my lap again, even though I'm done. Come here, you little goober, my little baby. Here's my baby, my little baby girl. She's got to always be on my lap these days now when I play. So, all right. I hope you liked my new outfit. I just made it at the outfit station yesterday. And it is, because I know so many people love to know what our outfit name's on. It's the Gladiator Jerkin. Isn't that very cool? Yes, it's the Gladiator Jerkin. And then I'm wearing it with the Know-It-All or the Wisdom Eater skirt. And then the other parts are just whatever. I hope you're having a great Friday. Thank God it's Friday. It's Freya's Day, right? Yeah, it's Freya's Day. Next Friday, I'm going to just do some playful things with the books. We've had 2 weeks of very serious lore, and next week I think I'll see all the lore I might have on Nords that are funny and joking, and start and pay homage to the Nordic people, and I'll look and see what I also have about Skyrim. But don't hold me to this, because I might decide to change my mind. So, and do something entirely different. So, all right. So just remember that plucking the raven feathers event is still going on until the 7th. So we still have 4 days of that. So take advantage of it and keep doing it. And getting all those goodies that are being offered. Smelling Nords. Yes, smelling Nords. I'm going to have to, well, I don't know, probably not, but it would so be nice. I was thinking of a dark elf visitor, but I suppose that's not going to happen. Wouldn't be able to happen, but I know that I have a friend who's a dark elf, and he certainly knows how to talk well of our friends the Nords, and maybe I can even find a Nord who would want to come in and drink some mead and share some mead with us, and maybe even sing that mead song. I don't know, but I'm gonna do my best to see if I could find somebody. All right, that's it for today. So until next week, have a great weekend, and the tome is going to be closed now as I bring out my beastie, and story time comes to an end. That's it for today. So my friends, I'm going to go out and do a few a few of my own raids. No, I'm not. I'm not going to go do reading. Yeah, I know. He's probably at work, so it's probably a difficulty for that to happen, but maybe he'll give me a quote or something I can share from him, but we'll see. Anyways, thanks everyone for tuning in. And again, remember Tamriel Storyteller Hour on Fridays is in dedication to our great writers of Elderscrolls Online. Thank you again for that. And I look forward to seeing you again for another adventure in ESO. So farewell. Bye for now. Keep playing. Bye.